Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, we are reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 5, text number 20. Na praharshet priyam prapya, no dujet prapya cha priyam, sthira buddhi rasam modo, brahma vid brahmane sthita. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. A person who neither rejoices upon achieving something pleasant nor laments upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self intelligent, unbewildered, and who knows the signs of God, is to be understood as already situated in transcendence. So, we are reading the symptoms of a person who is in knowledge, person who is self realized. So, yesterday we saw the symptom is that his mind is established in sameness and equanimity, and that person has already conquered the condition of birth and death. And then further symptoms are described here, the symptoms of a self realized person. So, the first symptom is that he is not illusioned by the false identification of the body with his true self. So, that person understands that I am not the body, I am the soul. And we might have heard this concept many, many times, but we are not talking about just knowing it theoretically, but one has to realize this fact that I am not the body, I am the soul. And once we realize this fact, then it solves a whole lot of problems. The Srimad Bhagavatam explains the root cause of the fear in this material world. Bhayam duktya abhiniveshata shat. So it is explained that what is the root cause of bhaya? The fear is our misidentification. When we think that I am this body and we don't understand that I am something or someone beyond this body, I am the soul. And because of this misidentification of our real identity, uh, it creates the fear. And constantly we are in fear in this material world. Shoka moha bhayapaha. Bhagavatam explains these are the symptoms. Constantly we are lamenting, we are illusioned, and we are in fear. So when a person becomes self-realized, this first symptom is that he is not illusioned by the false identification of the body with his true self. And once he understands, then he becomes free from all kinds of dualities. Then na praharshayet priyam prapya. Praharshayet means rejoice. He is not happy or rejoices on receiving something which is priyam, which is very pleasant. So he does not rejoice on achieving something pleasant. Na advajayat prapya cha apriyam. Neither he is udvajayat, he is agitated upon receiving something which is not very pleasant. Cha priyam. He is already beyond all these dualities, good or bad, pleasant or unpleasant. He doesn't really celebrate or he doesn't lament or get agitated. So, to attain this state is a great achievement. So, a self realized person has attained this stage. So, people, when they achieve the success in this material world, even the success, if we don't know how to handle the success, that can also make the person crazy. Many times, people, when they become successful, they achieve something, they go mad, they become very egoistic. That I did this and I did the hard work and nobody could do that and nobody's like me. So yes, we can say that somebody had done the hard work. So the credit goes to his hard work or sincerity. But also we should understand that to achieve something, to achieve the results of our activity, the hard work or sincere endeavor is an important element, but that's not the only uh, elements to achieve the success. Bhagavad Gita explains that there are five factors of action. So one thing is our sincere efforts or endeavor, but our endeavor alone is not enough to get us the results. So one should remain very grounded. One should understand that yes, I did the work, Sincerely, I put my hard endeavor, but ultimately it was the sanction of the Lord. So Lord has sanctioned and I have achieved this result. So I'm so grateful, I'm thankful. And that should make us more grounded and more humble than making the person very egoistic. So na praharshet priyam prapya. One should not be too elated upon achieving something pleasant or desirable. And in the same way, na dujet prapya cha priyam. One should also not lament or get agitated upon receiving something unpleasant, undesirable, or the result won't come as per our expectations. And so basically handling the failure or handling the sorrow, joy and sorrows, or success or failure. So this is an art. So a person who is self-realized, he knows this art of handling all these different phases in his life. So he doesn't get too elated, he doesn't get too agitated or lament for upon achieving anything which is pleasant or unpleasant. That person becomes sthir buddhi. Sthir buddhi means self-intelligent. He becomes fixed up. So this is very important to understand here that we have our own uh, conditional understanding about certain things in our life, right? We think that something which satisfy my senses is very very pleasant. If something I achieve, I receive something which satisfy my senses, I celebrate it, right? But then we gradually understand from the scripture that satisfaction of my sense is not the real pleasure, right? Because our senses are at present they are in diseased state. So that is why the scriptures guides us in the Narad Panchratra. It is explained, Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam Tat Paratvena Nirmalam Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchade. So we had to become from all these kind of ideas and conceptions and identities. Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam. That if I become this, if I get this, if I achieve this, and that is what is the real joy. Any sense gratification. That is what is the success. Now, tat paratvena nirmalam. We had to get purified. We had to purify your understanding. We had to purify your conceptions or ideas or opinion of what is the real enjoyment, what is the real pleasure. So it doesn't mean that in Krishna consciousness we void all the desires. We definitely have a desire, but there is no desire for sense gratification. There is a desire for Krishna. Prabhupada, in one of the purport, explains in the second chapter, to become desireless means not to desire anything for sense gratification. Many times, in a very neophyte state or initial state of or practice of Krishna consciousness, many people get scared. Oh, if I get too much into all this Krishna consciousness, then probably I have to give up all my desires. But I have a lot of ambitions, lot of desires. I want to achieve this. I want to become like that. So I want to maintain the safe distance. I don't want to get too much involved in all of this because I have to give up the desires. But we have to correct our understanding that Krishna consciousness doesn't really profess that giving up the desires, but it talks about purifying the desires. So Krishna consciousness teaches us, Bhagavad Gita teaches us that we should not desire anything for sense gratification because that will cause the bondage. Yagnarthat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. Anything which is not achieved or desired for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, but for my satisfaction, my sense gratification, that will cause the bondage. So we get trained, we get educated that okay, I should not be desiring anything for my own sense gratification. So Prabhupada explains, in other words, desiring for becoming Krishna consciousness is actually desirelessness. So desirelessness means desiring to become more and more Krishna conscious. That is why the true desire. So when we are situated in all of those things, that okay, whatever my desire is just to satisfy Krishna or Krishna's pure devotee, please Krishna or Krishna's pure devotee. And for that, we work hard. And if we achieve the results, we thank Krishna, we express our gratitude that Krishna, thank you for giving me this result. If I don't achieve the results as per my desire, as per my expectation, still we are thankful to Krishna that Krishna maybe You want to teach me something, or you want me to work hard, or you want me to become more dependent on you. So that is why you're not given. So there's no lamentation in upon achieving something unpleasant, and there is no rejoice in the sense how related. We definitely can celebrate and share if we achieve something, but it doesn't make us mad, illusioned that I worked hard and I got this. So that is the symptom of a self-realized devotee, self-realized person. That na praharshit chapriyam prapyam na dujet chapriyam. So this is one of the symptoms that has been described here. And then Prabhupada explains that we need not to give up all the desires, but we need to purify our desires. If we desire for Krishna, then we get purified. If we desire for sense gratification, then we get contaminated and we get bound. So one understand all of those things, and then he remain sthir buddhi. Sthir buddhi means he is equipoised in all situation, in all conditions, becomes self-intelligent, sthir buddhi, and then he is brahmavit. Brahmavit means he knows. This knowledge elevates him to the station of knowing the absolute truth. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaniti, Sabdayate. So the absolute truth has been described in three features. Vadanti tattatva vidastatvam, his jnanam advayam, Brahmedi, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaniti, Shabdayet. So not only just superficial understanding of the absolute truth, that oh, it is some light, it is some Brahmajyoti, but he understand that actually the absolute truth is a person. And who is that person? That person is Krishna. He lives in Golok, Vrindavan, Golok, Eva Nivisati. And what he is doing, he is always constantly reciprocating uh, with his devotees, and is very much active in his devotees' life. So, in that understanding, with that understanding that oh, Krishna is in control of my life, he has taken in charge, he has taken the charge of my life. So, if Krishna is there, then what is there for me to lament or to rejoice? If I get something, that is also blessings of Krishna. If I doesn't get anything, that is also blessing of Krishna. So that is that understanding that Brahmavit makes his buddhi as sthir buddhi, self-intelligent, right? And these symptoms, this kind of description we see again and again that Krishna has been talking in Bhagavad Gita. It is not the first time he's talking about this kind of idea, but even in the second chapter, Dukheshu anudvignamana sukhesu vigadispraha vitaragvaya kritva sthir dhir munichade. So he already spoken this. Dukheshu anudvignamana, in the dukkha, the person doesn't get agitated. Sukhesu vigadispraha, in the sukha, in the happiness, he doesn't really rejoice or get too elated. That is sthir dhir munichade. So sthir, so that is the section that Krishna explained. So all this, and then in the future verses also will read this kind of instruction from Krishna. So Prabhupada explains that why sometime all this kind of repeated instructions and are given in Bhagavad Gita, and many times when Prabhupada also give the lecture again and again, he explains something. So Prabhupada explains the repetition of something is necessary in order that we understand the matter thoroughly without error. We may hear one time, two time, 10 times, but it doesn't really get registered into our consciousness. That is why all these repetitions are needed. That okay, one should not relate too much upon receiving something pleasant. One should not lament, get agitated upon receiving something unpleasant. So that is why. And then we read Bhagavad Gita, and then we read Bhagavatam, and in the Bhagavatam we see such examples that it's not only just some theory, uh, something, a very lofty goal, but we have examples of great devotees who have exhibited the symptoms in those kind of situations, right? The Bhagavatam teaches us to handle the happiness or unpleasant situation. Like we see the example of Parikshit Maharaj. He was cursed for a small mistake. So very disproportionate curse that by mistake he put the dead snake on the neck of that sage. And when the son of the sage got to know, and then he got furious, and then he cursed him that within 7 days he will die. Now, if we get to know, if we learn that somebody comes and says that I curse you, hypothetically, in this Kali Yuga, those curses also doesn't work like that. But say, for example, just imagine that. it is even hard to even imagine. Somebody comes and says that within few days you will meet your death. What will be your state of our consciousness? Will be constantly agitated. Will be lamenting, oh, why he cursed me like that? What can I do? Can I do something about it? But we have the example of Parikshit Maharaj. As soon as he received this, he took that as an opportunity. The problem he made into progress. He used it as a stepping stone. He says, okay, at least now I know that 7 days, I have 7 days in my hand. So let me best utilize these 7 days. And immediately he retired from his administrative work, and then he retired and then meet all the great sages. And then that is when the Bhagavatam discussion happened. And then he took in the Bhagavatam verses explains that Parikshit Maharaj, he was powerful enough to counter that curse. But he took that as by the will of the providence it is happening. So let me accept this. That is the understanding of a devotee. Whatever situation happens, whatever circumstances he encounters, he always understands that Krishna is in control. So everything happens by the will of the providence. So let me accept happily. And there's no reason for lamentation. Let me just think that now how I can become more and more dependent on Krishna, more and more Krishna conscious. And that is what the Parikshit Maharaj did that. Right. So that is possible only when somebody is situated in truly in Krishna consciousness. He understands that Krishna is in control. Nothing happens without Krishna's sanction. Mare Krishna Rakhe Krishna Mare ke. Krishna wants to kill, nobody can protect. Krishna wants to protect, nobody can do any harm to me. So a devotee is in that realization, not just theory. We can talk about all those theoretically, but actually he lives in that consciousness. We have another example, the Chaitanya Charitamrita example of Haridas Thakur. Right. So this Haridas Thakur was also at no fault of his. He was beaten in 22 marketplaces, but he was undisturbed. Nothing could disrupt his Krishna consciousness. He continued to chant the holy name despite all kinds of tribulation and torture because he was situated Brahme Stitaha, situated in transcendence. So somebody who is situated in transcendence, he can uh, transcend all those external tribulations and the torture like that. Right. And also another point I want to bring here is it doesn't mean that we become indifferent. So nothing happens, we become like a dead stone. If either something is good or something is bad, we are emotionless. We doesn't even celebrate, we doesn't express our happiness or joy or our sorrow. No, that is not the understanding. Devotees are they are full of emotions. They have the emotions, but those emotion does not disrupt uh, their duties. That is important. So devotees also feel happy when something they achieve. Recently, many of you might have heard already that the devotees or senior Vaishnavas and they worked hard and by their sincere endeavor, their sincere desire to get a great recognition for Srila Prabhupada, uh, you know, they managed to secure a title for Srila Prabhupada, the title which has never been offered to anyone in the history. And Prabhupada was offered a title as Vishwaguru for his contribution to the whole world. Now, definitely it's a matter of joy for the devotees. So devotees are celebrating, they're sharing, expressing their, joy. So it doesn't mean that we don't celebrate. But at the same time, devotee doesn't think that, oh, nobody could do that. I did that. I'm so great. No, devotee think, okay, we had the desire to bring something for Prabhupada, the glories for Prabhupada, and Krishna sanctioned, and by Krishna's grace, that Prabhupada has been glorified by this title. So that is the understanding. So devotee doesn't become emotionless. That in fact, after hearing this Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was morose, Abhimanyu died, and Arjuna was lamenting. But after lamentation, what happened? He fell on the ground. He was crying bitterly. But Prabhupada explained the problem is not that you fell on the ground, but the problem is people won't get up again. But Arjuna, he got up and ready. And later also we see in the Srimad Bhagavatam that when Krishna left this planet and Arjuna was feeling morose, he kind of lost all his power. He was such a great warrior, such a top notch archer. But we know that how at one point he couldn't protect the queens of Krishna, right? And that time he was feeling so morose, he was missing Krishna. Where is Krishna? Krishna left already. But in that moroseness, how he pacified himself. So this verse comes in the Srimad Bhagavatam. देशकालार्थयुक्तानि हृततापपुषानि च हरन्ति स्मरदश्चित्तं गोविन्द अभितानि मे. So he says देशकालार्थयुक्तानि हृतताप उपशमानि च. When Arjuna was face to face with being vanquished in his acquired power and prominence, he wanted again to remember the great teachings of Bhagavad Gita. So he was missing Krishna. But what he did, Krishna was not there, physically present there. Then he started remembering the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, just to teach all concerned that the Bhagavad Gita can be consulted in all critical times, not only for solace from all kinds of mental agonies, but also for the way out of great entanglements, which may embarrass one in some critical hour. So sometime, we face all those situations, some lamentation, some moroseness, then what we should do is we can open Bhagavad Gita, we can read, we can remember some instructions that we have heard from Srila Prabhupada from Bhagavad Gita, and that can give us the solace from all kinds of mental agonies. Because Krishna's name, Krishna's form, Krishna's teachings, Bhagavad Gita, not different from Krishna. So sometime if we feel those emotions very intensely, some lamentation, you know, so then we can take the shelter of the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna began to think of the Lord's instruction to him on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Only those instructions began to eliminate the tinges of material contamination in the mind of Arjuna. See, just by remembering those instructions, Arjuna became free from all this material contamination. The Lord is like the sun. The sun's appearance means immediate dissipation of darkness or ignorance, and the Lord's appearance within the mind of the devotee can at once drive away the miserable material effects. So Lord is compared, Krishna is compared here with the sun. And when we remember Krishna, then as the sun drives away all the darkness, similarly, the remembrance of Krishna, the teachings of Krishna drive away all the miserable material effects. Lord Chaitanya has therefore recommended constant chanting of the name of the Lord for protection from all contamination of the material world. Right. So, like that, we can understand a devotee is situated, and anytime he feel very intense emotions, positive or negative, he just remember the Lord, and just by remembering the Lord's Leela, Lord's name, Lord's pastime, Lord's teaching, become free from all those material effects. And there is and this famous tennis player Arthur Ashe. So in the late 70s, this Ashe, he suffered a heart attack leading to multiple surgeries. So unfortunately, during one of these procedures in the early 1980s, he contracted HIV from a contaminated blood transfusion. So he kept his diagnosis private until 1992, when he publicly announced it after media inquiries. So then it came to the public, and a lot of he had a big fan following, and then people started, or his followers, they started asking that why this happened to you. It was not his mistake. Because of some contaminated blood transfusion, he got some severe, that HIV. And people are asking that why you. So, so it's very famous, this thing from this Arthur Ashe, that rather than dwelling on self pity, Ashe focused on how he could make a difference. He famously said something. He replied to his followers. He says that there are 500 million people, they want to play tennis. Out of them, 50 million probably play tennis or learn tennis. And that 5 million, they probably reach the professional circuit. And in that, some 5,000 people probably reach the Grand Slam. And then out of those 5,000, 50 people reach the Wimbledon. And in that 50 people, two reach the final. And then those two people one person won the cup. So he says that when I won the cup, that time I did not ask God, why me? So he famously said, if I were to say why me about the bad things, then I should have said why me about the good things that happened in my life. So those obstacles will come. But what is our consciousness? How we handle? So we should remember that so many good things has been bestowed upon us. We never complain. We never ask why me. So if some challenges, some difficulties comes, that time also we should not ask. We should think that is also the blessings of the Lord, and when good things came, that was also the blessings of the Lord. God is in control. God is Surdam Sarvbhutanam. He is always our well-wisher. So if he has sent me something, so-called negative things, let me just happily accept this. So that is the stage of the symptoms of a self-realized person. Na praharshit priyam prapya, na dujet prapya cha priyam, because he is Brahmavid, he understands the absolute and he is Brahmani stithaha, situated in transcendence. And then he can easily handle and overcome all those emotions. Okay, so these are some of the thoughts on this verse. Let me pause here and see if anybody has any quick question, any comment, anybody wants to say something. Okay, if there's no question, we'll stop here. Narendra,
No, there is a hand raised. Sorry.
sorry,
There was a hand raised.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Sada Pranam, our curious to still but please accept my humble obeisances.
Harish.
Prabhuji, by the will of the God, everything happens is what I mentioned today. And how to understand that when we are faced with, like in real life, if an animal comes to you or if there is a danger that is posing at you, you will run, right? But you won't stand there and then take that, thinking that it's the will of the God. Like that, if an animal comes, you're running out. But then in the human beings also, there are animalistic qualities that you face in a domestic abuse is there, and so many other things are there. And even, let me tell you frankly, that even in relationships, um, you're being constantly disrespected by your family members constantly, either knowingly or unknowingly they do it. But then in Sixastakam it says that no matter if others disrespect you, you have to still give them respect, and then in that mood you have to chant. So I always am in a dilemma whether this is happening because of my past karma or because there is something that I need to improve on myself. But then
Okay,
how to take it, I mean,
okay. Uh, so the point is there are two things here, and whether it is happening because of my past karma or do I need to improve something about myself. So all the cases are possible. It might be happening because of past karma, but we do not have any way to trace why it is happening. But so rather not to dwell into figuring out why it is happening to me. And so what we can do is we can see is there any scope for me to improve the situations and the conditions and something which can avoid to face all this kind of situations. So externally we had to do what needs to be done. We are not saying that we don't deal with the situations and the problems and the challenges. We do whatever needs to be done. That is on the external level. But internally, you understand that whatever it is happening by the sanction of the Lord, maybe because of my past karma, for whatever reason. So I should not internally get disturbed and agitated. So all these symptoms, that na udujet cha apriyam. So udujet means agitated, which is the internal emotion. Externally, you do whatever needs to be done. A lot of challenges were there in Prabhupada's life also. Many people were attacking on Prabhupada in so many different ways. So Prabhupada was very actively handling all of those things. But internally, he was not disturbed. So it is like that. Sometime you will see that somebody is coming and offending, uh, talking something bogus about Krishna. The Prabhupada will show the anger. So many times people say, "Oh, the Prabhupada, he's a pure devotee and still he is getting agitated. Why is showing anger?" So there is a difference between anger of a pure devotee or any emotion for that matter, not only just anger, and a ordinary person. A pure devotee can show the anger. It is just like, you see the wave in the ocean. wave is very strong and very powerful. So that emotion. But you go a little down deep on the ocean, the water is very calm and peaceful. So pure devotee is like that. Externally will show the waves of those emotions to handle and to correct, those people. But internally he is very, very calm and peaceful, completely dependent on the Lord. So that is what we need to learn. I know that theoretically it sounds great, but to put in practice it takes time. We have to just constantly keep reminding ourselves that, oh, yes, should not be getting disturbed. But at the same time, all those, somebody is disrespecting me, somebody is taking undue advantage of my simplicity or something like that. So let me, not allow someone to unnecessarily take the due advantage. So I should become more smart, more careful, more watchful, more conscious. So whatever needs to be done has to be done. So we're not saying that don't deal and become indifferent and then let the people do, all kinds of things with you. It's not like that. But internally, we shouldn't get agitated. We should rather take that as an opportunity to become more and more fixed up in Krishna consciousness, take, shelter of Krishna, shelter of the holy name, and develop the dependence on Krishna, and that Krishna, this world is like that. Even my near and dear ones, they are also, like that. So that you are only my only solace, your lotus feet, your holy name. So take this as an opportunity to become more Krishna conscious. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone. Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.